Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Township Council, Monday, March 13th, 2023. This meeting is now called to order. Would Miss Kyle Hanna and Miss Victoria Macaluso please come to the center and lead us into the flag salute? All rise.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you very much. You may be seated. Mrs. Kraus, please read the statement of public notice.
Take notice that adequate notice of this meeting has been provided in accordance with NJSA 10:4-8 and NJSA 10:4-10 as follows. The notice of the meeting was prominently posted on the bulletin board at the municipal building located at 225 Main Street, Little Falls, New Jersey on December 27, 2022. A copy of the notice was mailed to the North Jersey Herald and News and the Record on the same date. Additionally, a copy of the notice was filed in the office of the township clerk on said date. A link and a telephone number to join the meeting virtually can be accessed on the township website at www.lfnj.com. Electronic provisions have been established for the public to participate during the public comment portion of the meeting.
Thank you, Mrs. Kraus. At this time, please call the roll.
Councilmember Patel,
Present.
Councilmember Murphy,
Present.
Councilmember Hablitz,
Present.
Councilmember Vanchery,
Present.
Council President Scoba.
Present. Mayor Damiano, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Council President. This evening, before we begin recognizing our Lady Hornets and our Passaic Valley Youth Softball League champions who we have here in attendance with us, I do have two proclamations that I would like to read. And one of them has to do with National Women's History Month, which is very appropriate, especially in light of all of these young women that we have joining us here this evening, who have won a lot of championships here in Little Falls. And I see in attendance here this evening, a lot of future leaders here, and I'm proud to have them joining us. And the very first proclamation that I am going to read is a proclamation about Women's History Month. And I'm going to read it here, joined by a lot of our young future leaders who happen to be females joining us in this room. And it reads, whereas women of every race, class, ethnicity, sexual orientation, gender identity, and abilities have made historic contributions to the strength of our state and nation in countless recorded and unrecorded ways. And whereas in overcoming discrimination, harassment, and hardship, women have been bold and fearless, never giving up on the promise that with hard work and determination, nothing is out of reach. And whereas in remembering the trailblazers of the past and the heroines of the present day, we honor their legacies by carrying forward the valuable lessons learned from powerful examples they set, whether teaching our children, caring for our sick, serving in our wars, starting businesses, serving in elected positions, or venturing into unknown frontiers. Generations of women believed their gender was no obstacle to what they could achieve. And whereas during Women's History Month, we recognize the advances we have made in this state for women, but acknowledge that more needs to be achieved so women can gain gender equality and access to the prosperity of this state. Now, therefore, I, James Belford Damiano, Mayor of the Township of Little Falls, hereby proclaim March 2023 to be Women's History Month in the Township and encourage all residents of Little Falls to join in this observance. Now, I have a second proclamation that I'm going to read here this evening, and it has to do with National Nutrition Month. And it's important, as you all know, that we ensure that we continue to lead healthy lives. And March is also about National Nutrition Month. And I'm going to read that here in front of all of you. And it reads, whereas food is the substance by which life is sustained, and whereas the type, quality, and amount of food that individuals consume each day plays a vital role in their overall health and physical fitness. And whereas there is a need for continuing nutrition education and a wide-scale effort to enhance healthy eating practices. Now, therefore, I, James Belford Damiano, Mayor of the Township of Little Falls, hereby proclaim the month of March 2023 to be National Nutrition Month in the Township of Little Falls, and I encourage all citizens to join the campaign and become concerned about their nutrition, and the nutrition of others in the hope of achieving optimum health for both today and tomorrow. Now, as you heard, tonight we have three teams joining us who have won some pretty incredible championships here in Little Falls. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to ask each of the coaches to join me up here in the front of the room, and then I'm going to ask them to have each of their players that are joining us here join us here in the front. And at the end, I'm going to ask each one of those teams to make sure that they come up with a quick cheer. And I want to hear a nice loud cheer from each one of the three teams that are joining us here in attendance tonight. So if you don't have one, each team better quickly come up with a cheer on the spot. No talking about it now. I want to hear you come up with a quick little cheer on the spot, right here in front of everyone. And then we might even decide which one of the three teams had the best cheer at the end of the night. So what we're going to do is we are going to start with the Lady Hornets travel softball team, coached by Coach Nicole Smith, our 12U team. And we're going to ask Coach Smith to join us up here at the front and invite all of her championship team to join us up here.
Thank you. First of all, I just want to say this team has been amazing to coach, and I love each and every one of you. And thank you for one of the best years ever in my softball career. So we're going to start with Kylie Almendinger. Gabriella Bagnulo. Bianca Benetti. Dylan Karuba. Isabella Cruz. Kylie Hanna. Shay Hill. Lola Jandoli. Victoria Macaluso. Natalia Marecki. Olivia Marconi. Madison Myers. Lindsay Russo. And that's it. Kelsey Smith.
All right, now before we, well, no, you know what, first what we're going to do is we're going to get a team photo up here with the entire team. And then we're going to ask for a little team cheer before they break and get back to their seats. So come, oh.
We need to call up Mike Karuba too. He was a very big part of this team. Big part of our team. Come on up here. Sorry, didn't have you on the run.
Yeah, thanks.
All right, let's see what you have for a little quick team cheer. All right, on the count of three. Here we go. 1, 2. All right, congratulations, girls. All right, the next coach that I'm going to call up is our head coach, Tim Lentine of our third and fourth grade lines. Over you.
Thank you. First, I just want to say it was a joy and honor and a privilege to coach these girls this year. And I'm excited to see how they do this year and moving forward. With that said, Emma Lichkowski. Emery Almendinger. Do we have Olivia Verdi here tonight? No, Olivia Verdi anyway. Juliana Romano. Anna Kiefer. Olivia Maraglia. Madeline Larinoff. Danya Espinoza, who's joining us from Florida tonight. Layla Zanka. Sophia Laconte. And Gianna Lentine. I also just want to thank our assistants, Eber Espinoza, who's joining us from Florida tonight, and my father, Jim Lentine, who helped us out this year.
Come on in for a photo. All right, here comes our cheer. All right, on the count of three, we're going to have a nice loud cheer from our third and fourth grade Red Panthers, who had our undefeated season. 1, 2. All right, and last but not least this evening, we have our 7th and 8th grade undefeated season head coach Jay Taylor.
Hello. Half my girls are not here. They've since left for college. It's been a little while. All right. Madison Gonzalez. Kenzie Taylor. Olivia Mora. Ava Burdan. Mariana Rayo. Victoria DeMarco. Madison Myers. Isabella Cruz. Amelia Saddleberger. Gracie Callie. And Maggie Foucault. Thank you.
Fred, get in here. Fred, come on. Stand on the ground and mark it out. Come on, Fred. You wanna sit? And then, Good. Okay, hold on.
I expect a this cheer from our seventh and eighth grade championship team. All right, on the count of three. 1, 2. Oh, wait. Congratulations, all three teams on such incredible seasons. And just so everyone is aware, this is a good point in our meeting here in Little Falls that if anybody does not wish to stay for the remainder of the council meeting, you are free to leave. If anybody does wish to stay, you're certainly welcome to stay for the remainder of the meeting. But congratulations to all three winning teams here in Little Falls. We're happy to have you here this evening. Congratulations on your incredibly successful seasons. Congratulations, everyone.
start. Thanks, guys. Mayor, would you like to discuss the Passaic County Open Space and Farmland Preservation Trust Fund for improvements to the Wilmore Road Park?
Yes, thank you, Council President. Before beginning the public hearing on the Open Space and Farmland Preservation Trust Fund for improvements to Wilmore Road Park, give a little history. Each year, the Township of Little Falls is invited to submit a grant application to Passaic County for an Open Space and Farmland Preservation Trust Fund grant. And each year, the township has been fairly successful in obtaining a fairly substantial grant from Passaic County. And the past 2 years, 2021 and 2022, the township has secured a $200,000 grant from $200,000 each year from Passaic County for Wilmore Road Park improvements. And the intention of the past 2 years' grants has been to make improvements to the park itself, including the equipment and the playground surface and such, because as many people are very well aware, that park and that playground was actually installed by Saturn and has seen better days. That park is currently under design by our engineers to be completely refurbished and redesigned and will soon be completely redone. This year's application for the 2023 open space application is to finally replace the unsightly porta-john that is always placed there each and every year and replace it with a more permanent bathroom that can be placed in place of the porta-john that is placed there each and every year. So we are going to be making an application to Passaic County to install a permanent bathroom facility at the park at Wilmore Park. And that is the intention of the application being made to Passaic County for the grant application this year.
That's it, huh?
Can I have a motion to open the public hearing on the township application to Passaic County Open Space and Farmland Preservation Trust Fund for the improvements to Wilmore Park Road?
So moved.
Moved by Councilmember Hablitz,
Second.
second by Councilwoman Patel. All those in favor of open to the public, please do so by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed to that motion, do so by saying nay. Motion carries. The floor is now open. For the record, you don't need to state your address, just your name.
Patricia Toomey. We received a certified letter regarding this, I guess. I mean, it was very vague. So, and I live all the way down Wilmore Road. So I'm just confused why I got a certified letter, unless there's something that pertains to 150 feet from my house or something like that.
No, I'm sorry, Mr. Kusia, you wanted to add something?
Yeah, when we're dealing with a public park, it's notification of the surrounding neighborhood around the entire park.
Okay, so it doesn't have anything to do with something across the street from me.
No, No.
Other than the park.
Thank you.
Right. The intention is directly adjacent to the current playground park area.
I'm sorry.
Good evening.
Chalice,
Yeah. Can you just keep the microphone so they pick you up? Thank you.
Aaron Chalice.
Thank you.
Are there pictures or like a rendering of what this will look like on file that we could look at?
Mayor, can you share some of the conceptual ideas? I don't think we have any pictures for this evening yet.
Okay,
So
will
it-
there be on the website maybe at some point?
When everything becomes formalized, yes.
So Councilman, what I can do is it has not been, the one in Little Falls has not been designed yet. I have had the engineers send me one that has been designed in another town. What I can do is I can share an image of the one that has been designed in another town. Of course, the finishings and things of the sort can be customized to colors that we would like and finishings that we would like for here in Little Falls. I can certainly
Can we put that up on
put
the
those
screen?
up if you give me a minute or two. So these are not necessarily indicative of the colors that would be here in Little Falls. We are probably more of a residential neighborhood than the ones that were sent to me, but just to give you an idea of what they look like, if you give me a minute or two, I can certainly get those up on the screen. So
Do you have any requests you would like to see happen at this park?
Obviously, we would just want it to blend in with the surroundings and also, would it be in the same location?
Hey, Joe.
Current Porta John?
I'm sorry, give us one moment. Mr. Crucial, I'm sorry,
I'm
miss.
working on it.
Okay, I'm sorry. Go ahead, continue.
The current location where the porta potty is now, or is it going to be in a different location?
No, that is the location, but it'll be extended, correct,
Okay.
Mayor?
Thank you.
The question was, with the location of the improvements, where it's going to be located.
the intention is to put it in the area where the current Porta John.
Understood. Scott Horo, live on Wilmore Road.
Good
Just,
evening.
Curious, I know it's maybe a little early for this question since we don't have renderings, but traffic disruptions, duration of the project, do you anticipate anything like?
So all of this work will be, I anticipate that all of the work would be substantially off of the roadway.
Okay.
I'm sure there may be some trucks that would be arriving and loading and unloading a little bit in the roadway, but I don't anticipate that the road would be closed down. There might be some minor alternating for several minutes at a time, but no real closures of any sort. But all of the work would be happening off of the roadway itself for this particular improvement. In fact, there might be more disruption for the actual park improvement itself as the bigger equipment is being delivered and things of that sort.
Done subsequent to the park improvement or parallel?
Depending on if and when this funding is approved, depending on the actual delays of the equipment for the park itself, because I understand that there's up to 8 months of delay on the actual park equipment itself. If this material, which is really just cinder block for the most part, is more readily available, if this funding is approved relatively soon, this may be built in conjunction with the actual improvement to the park itself being installed. So this may be as soon as the park improvement itself.
Will it just be a walk-up type of
So
access?
I actually have some renderings, and again, don't get caught on the colors themselves because they are and bear with me for if again, if everybody just gives me a couple of minutes to capture them, I can share in just a minute or two the renderings that or the pictures that I have of another park here. And I'll be able to share this on my screen in a minute.
So while you're looking that up, I'm assuming it'd be full sewer hookup, et cetera,
Correct. This would have full sewer, likely full water.
24-hour access.
So that is something that can be discussed. I'm not sure that 24-hour access is something that is necessarily something that township or residents in the area would want to have. It's actually been something that's been discussed with the engineer. There are a number of ways to put electronic locking mechanisms on it. The park does close at dusk. It is definitely something that I understand could certainly raise concern for residents in the area. So I certainly we can certainly have more of a discussion with residents in the area. I don't think having this bathroom open at 3 a.m. is necessarily something that residents in the area would like to see happen when the park is closed. Yep, so definitely having further discussion. I think once the grant is awarded, hopefully, fingers crossed it will be. If once we are awarded the grant, having sort of a little mini powwow with residents in the area to get some input from them is certainly something that I intend to do, because to your point, having this bathroom open at 3 a.m., I don't think there's real reason for that.
Being the world we live in today, is it male, female, unisex?
So I don't know. I think, again, something else that can certainly be discussed. And certainly, we can have that conversation further. I guess we could see how, these are still typically being designed, see what the cost would be to design them in various ways. So it's definitely something that can be discussed.
How big is it? How many square feet are we looking at?
They are not all that large, and let me bring up, now's a good time to bring up these renderings. And Mr. Kuchar, do I have,
I apologize. My
No, no.
background is in facility design.
and I gotta be honest, I don't know if, Mr. Kuchar, I don't know if giving, I don't know if I should be given this meeting. I don't know if giving anybody the ability to share a screen right now is necessarily a good idea. And I'm going to apologize in advance. I would typically share my screen, but Ms. Kuchar, can you give me just the ability to share my screen? Yeah, as a co-host, I may be able to
Yeah,
right
you
now.
can do it.
Okay, so bear with me here, and I apologize. Let me see. I can. Okay. So if you bear with me here, I can share my screen. All right, I can. All right, so what I'll do, let me see if I can make this a little bit. All right, so here are two renderings. This is a front shot and a rear shot of it here. I think you can kind of see. Here again, don't get caught on the colors of that. I don't know that that necessarily works in Wilmore Park there. But that is sort of what it looks like. This is located in, to give you an idea, this one is located in Phillips Avenue in South Hackensack. And the engineer, when he sent this to me, was very specific in saying that please note that the finishes can be customized. So not to get caught up on the colors, the finishes, or anything like that. So this is, again, just some photos of what it looks like there. That's just a little bit more of a close-up of the water fountain and the doors there, just to give you an idea of what it would look like. So it is not extremely large of a structure or facility. It's not very high. It's none of those things, because this is near a park. It is in a residential neighborhood. So being conscientious of all of those things, it would have some natural light with those windows. If that's the design we go with, it would obviously have its own lighting inside. It would have electric, plumbing, some heat because there is water utility being run to it, and things of the sort. But this is just an idea of what it could conceptually look like, just to give everybody an idea. So this is a possibility. Again, colors being to be determined and things. So
You have to approach a podium.
Is it a multi-stall unit or?
This one in particular, I got to be honest, I don't know the specifics. I didn't get into it. This was just again, just an example. I believe that this one does have multiple, I believe has multiple stalls inside each.
And I'm assuming the annual cost to maintain is equivalent?
It's negligible in the sense that we would have a sewer hookup to it and a water utility run to it. And electric, the cost would be negligible in the sense that the DPW would perform the daily regular maintenance on it in that sense. And then obviously the water and electric would be negligible in that sense.
I'm good. Thank you.
Thank you.
You bet.
Sorry, continuing, David
Sir,
Salvatore.
you have to tell us your name, please.
I just said David Salvatore.
Thank you.
So just continuing on that thought, obviously it's a bathroom that's going to be constantly used during the day, and it's only going to be cleaned once a day. Just walking through that park every day, it is loaded with litter, and most of it comes from the kids that shop at the Quick Check that cut through the parking lot and go up the little dirt trail they made. So obviously there's already a litter problem in the park that's not handled by the townspeople that work for the town. So this is obviously going to add another level. I just wanted to review. So you said it's $200,000 per year that you received for the maintenance of the park, correct?
No, we've gotten grants to,
So the maintenance is actually more than $200,000 or the budget for the park? I'm just trying to understand how much these things cost.
no. We've gotten grants of
Right.
$200,000 to apply to building a new park. The new park, depending on finishes, depending on the equipment, depending on what is installed, can range from $500,000 to $2 million to install a new park. That would just go towards offsetting the build of that park.
Okay, so is there anything else being done to the park other than obviously the children's play area and the bathroom? Because the only thing that I've seen as someone who doesn't need a bathroom or doesn't play in the kids' yard is that over the past 2 years, you've taken down trees, mature trees in the park, which doesn't make sense to me that you would take down a tree and know they were not sick. So
Unless a tree.
what are you
was-
doing for the rest of the town that doesn't, play in the park, just wants it to be beautiful?
Sure, yeah. So unless a tree was dying in the park, there would be no other reason to have taken it down in Wilmore Park.
No, they did.
Okay.
Is there going to be another meeting about this, or is this just like sort of talking points and then you all are going to decide what to do?
No, and this is just to approve the grant application being submitted to the county.
Right.
So the question is, do we want to get a grant from the county of 200? Do we want to apply for a grant of up to $250,000 from the county, or do we not? That is what we are asking this evening. Do we want to apply for a grant to the county?
So I think that would also have to, my understanding is how much does this cost? That was my question the other week as well. How much do these things cost? If it's a $2 million toilet and you're getting $250,000, why are we doing it?
Sure. So I believe estimates on this are somewhere in the $200,000 to $300,000, depending on, again, finishes and things of the sort.
Just for the toilet?
Correct, for the bathroom.
And then how much is the playground?
Again, depending on the design, the finishes, what goes on into it, somewhere between $500,000 to $2 million.
So a lot of unknowns. So when do we find out more about the knowns?
When it gets towards the final stages of the design.
And when will that be?
Once the engineers have renderings and things like that.
Okay, thank you.
You bet.
The floor is open.
Hi, Bob Schaefer.
Good evening.
Some of my concerns were answered here, but this is for the township residents? Or is it for anybody that comes through the town?
It's open to the public.
To anybody, okay. What the gentleman said here about the trees, I was applaud you for that, because I know they were really nice trees and they took them down. They never replaced them anyway. But another problem that I have here with this whole rendering or whatever the project is the parking. Where are you gonna put cars that people want to go to the park? Because when you drive down there now and it's a nice day, the cars are lined up all the way down Fillmore Road. The care and the caretake of the building, how much is that going to be and how often is that going to be done? And I heard through the grapevine that you might expand the Eagle Rescue Squad. So how much land is that going to take and how much land is that going to take from the park?
So as far as the bathrooms, how often is it going to be maintained? It's going to be maintained as frequently as necessary to ensure that it's, clean enough.
See, my point is, let me get someone off my shoulders here, because first of all, you're gonna have this bathroom with a hopefully a time lock on it. Just for children and their parents. At nighttime, when it's not locked, you're gonna have transients come in there and hang out and sleep or whatever they gotta do. Because I live by the railroad station here, and I have problems with a couple people that take residents on the backside of railroad station, and when I call to get them removed at 3 o'clock in the morning, transit doesn't want to be bothered because they're not doing any damage. And I feel that this is going to be the same kind of situation over there. When I call the township to come over, it's not their jurisdiction or their property. This happened many times during the summertime. I've called the Passaic County Police Department, the Sheriff's Department, and they came down at 3 o'clock in the morning and they moved the girl on her way. The next day, she's back there. I believe we've had many discussions, some of us here, about that. And I don't see, unless you're gonna put a timeline, a lock, some kind of ordinance for the parking over there, because you're kind of scrapped for parking in this town as it is. You're trying to grab parking spots over at the municipal lot. Where are you going to put cars when you have a lot of people coming in there to play in the playground?
The same place they currently park. We're not building a new park. The
Well,
park
you
is
said you're gonna
currently,
add more structure to the park, right? And
no, we're gonna replace the current playground equipment.
okay, so like, I mean, there's a lot of cars parking on Wilmore Road when people come in there to play, or the kids come to play with their parents. Okay, and I'm just wondering, where are you gonna, now that you're gonna open up a bathroom and more jungle gyms or whatever, where are you gonna put all these cars?
Well, there's currently a porta potty there.
Okay,
We would just be improving it to be a more permanent structure
yeah, I understand.
rather than a porta potty.
I
And there's
understand.
currently a playground there. We would just be replacing wooden equipment that was donated by Saturn
Yeah.
with more modern state-of-the-art equipment.
I'm just, putting it out there because we have problems with the railroad station and we can't get any kind of.
I understand you keep referring to the
because
railroad
it's gonna
station,
transmit
but
all
you're
that.
referring to property that is property of New Jersey Transit.
All right,
Sir,
Yeah.
are you opposed to the restrooms?
yes, I am.
Okay, thank you. Noted.
Is there any kind of information on the Eagle Rescue Squad being expanded?
Sure, yeah, there is the intention that the township construct a building to house the ambulances, where we now operate our 24/7, 365 EMS operation out of. So yes, there is the intention to do that, but it wouldn't be built in the park itself. It would be built on the Company One property.
So is that to the left of the building, looking at the building?
Correct,
Right.
to the left of the
To the
building.
left of the building,
Correct.
looking at the building.
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
You bet.
Thank you for joining us. Mr. Kuchar, Mr. Crocken, I know it, but Mr. Crocken's been waiting.
Okay. Mute Mr. Karanka.
Okay, good evening. Arnie Kraken, I live in Little Falls. I don't know if something was asked during that horrible interruption. Will the permanent facility be handicapped accessible?
Yes.
Yes, correct. Yes, Mr. Crocken.
Yes.
By statute, it has to be.
Okay, so my second question is, this is a public hearing to authorize application for such a grant from Passaic County. Will there be a subsequent hearing when the application is complete to see if residents have other questions and if the questions asked tonight are answered in the application?
I see no reason not to proceed that way. So public has input as this goes along. At this point, we're just trying to see if the public wants us to apply for the grant.
Okay, and when the next application, public hearing may be held, I hope that the town will post some of the things that the mayor showed via shared screen, such what the facility would look like, a description of the facility and other details. So some of the questions that were asked tonight may not have to be asked. So
Yes.
I ask you to consider.
Yes,
doing that.
Mr. Crock, and after the design phase, illustrations would be available for the public to have input.
As well as a description of the proposal. Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you for joining us.
My pleasure.
The floor is still open. Yep. You okay? Okay.
Robert Doug, 168 Wilmar Road.
Good evening.
Good evening. I just want to say, thank you, Council President. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Personally, I think the town's doing a great job. So thank you very much. Regarding the litter on the park, personally, I think I see the Township, Public Works Department, they're out there almost every day, at least when I drive by, always picking up litter. So every once in a while, I do see some litter in the park, but personally, I think the town's doing a pretty good job picking up litter. I see them out every day. I see you, Mr. Councilman President, once a week out there picking up litter, so thank you very much. Regarding the grant, I think absolutely want a grant, right? Even if you just replace the equipment in kind and do nothing else, I think the grant money will cover the purchase of the equipment, because I think the equipment is in very dilapidated condition. You know, the wood's falling apart, it's dangerous, you know, the kids go there, so I would say absolutely go for the grant, because even if you make no alterations to the park, the equipment could be replaced. There is a rendering on Facebook. I don't know if it's an accurate rendering. Anybody's looking for renderings, so if you're on the Little Falls Facebook group, somebody has posted renderings. I guess my question was, another question, is there going to be an opportunity for the community involvement regarding the design of the park, or like a peer review group? Or if there is, I'd be looking forward to volunteering.
Councilman Hablitz, this falls to you. Yeah,
Say it again. I'm so sorry.
Is there going to be any opportunity for the community to have input on the design of the park, or the?
Well, usually it goes through the Open Space Committee, which is a committee that is appointed in the beginning of the year with people who show interest in being on the committee. And they have input about things that would be with the park, and the engineer and myself and Tyler Passero, the director of the Recreation Department, and Mr. Pace, Mr. Kuchia, and the mayor.
Okay, great. I know a lot of neighbors, some of us like to be, if there is an action group or a committee, we would volunteer our services.
Absolutely. You can give us your name and absolutely would be considered.
Bathroom, I think it definitely needs a bathroom. Quite frankly, I'm surprised it doesn't have a bathroom. The porta potty is clean, but porta potties in general are disgusting. So any opportunity there is for a permitted structure, I'd be on board. In my experience, there'd probably be no additional maintenance costs unless the town is thinking about hiring an additional staff member to maintain the bathroom, which they're probably not. So the additional cost would probably be negligible, as the mayor had mentioned, because somebody's paying for the porta potty, someone's paying to maintain the porta potty, someone's paying for that. So I'm thinking it'd be a wash. So that's just my 2 cents. Timetable on construction. When do you actually plan on breaking ground?
So, Councilman, if I may. So the purpose of tonight's meeting is to see if there's town support to even file this application with Passaic County to even obtain the grant. If there is, we would submit this grant to Passaic County Open Space in hopes of obtaining the grant. Hopefully within the next several months, we would hear from them. If that's the case, if we are successful in receiving the grant, at that point, we would then go into the design phase. Again, it seems like nothing moves quite like it did, 5 years ago. Depending on the timeline to acquire anything necessary in order to construct it. At this point, getting Wilmore Park done is certainly a priority with the upgrades to the playground equipment and the park itself. It is long overdue. That wooden equipment is extremely outdated. It's, at times, it's beyond old. It needs to be fixed and updated. That bathroom, if we are successful in obtaining a grant, if that's the way the municipality wants to move, as quickly as possible, realistically, probably by next spring, I would hope to have it completed and installed. Realistically, by the time we were to secure the grant, go out to bid, secure a contractor, well, have it designed, go out to bid, have a contractor, have it actually construct, secure the materials, and then have it constructed. I would say that next spring is probably a realistic time schedule.
One more question, Hurricane Ida, is there any opportunity to leverage any grant money from Hurricane Ida or any disaster relief funds to maybe make some improvements to the park? Any possible damages that might have occurred during Hurricane Ida?
So we pursued a lot of Hurricane Ida relief money, and most of it was related to the rivers and areas that were directly impacted by the flooding itself. Amazingly, you would think that areas impacted by the river would have been areas where securing emergency funding we would have been successful. To tell you that I was completely disheartened by that process is an understatement. And I know this is about Wilmore Park here, but I'm going to go on a little bit here. Because the municipality moved so quickly to have the riverbanks cleaned up, we actually were told by the federal government that because we touched the river and cleaned it up so quickly, that we were not eligible for funding under the emergency appropriations for Ida relief, because what we should have done is done nothing, waited months for the emergency funding to become available. Then we would have been successful in securing the emergency funding to be able to be approved to have our riverbanks cleaned up like by the Peckman River. So because we moved quickly and spent our own money to make sure that our residents were safe, we weren't eligible for emergency funding for that. So unfortunately, it did only relate directly to areas impacted by the flooding. It certainly would not relate to the Wilmore Park and areas such as that.
No more questions.
Thank you. Thank you for your comments. Let me just circle back. As far as you could come up, sir. As far as the litter, it is definitely a bothersome to me and the rest of the council and the mayor. And I appreciate Steve picking up the litter when he walks his dog. Thank you. But he shouldn't have to do it. He shouldn't have to do it, right? That's not a responsibility of the citizens. We'll have to make sure that the parks stay clean. But we do have the DPW go out on the weekends through a clean grant that is given to us, and they do clean up the town, but that has to continue to be a more thorough job. But I appreciate that comment. I do want to circle back, Mayor. It was commented that we took trees down in Wilmore Park. I just don't recall taking any trees being taken down. Trees have been put up. I just don't recall what trees have been taken down.
There was an area between the apartments there on Main Street.
Oh, next to the.
And yeah, between the gazebo and the apartments there on Main Street, where a couple of trees were taken down. The DPW had taken them down. I believe there was an arborist that had come out and inspected trees throughout the park. I believe those were determined to have been infected by the what's that new beetle that is impacting no, not the spotted lantern. It's the ash. Yes, the ash trees were impacted, and that was the reason for them having been removed there. And that was the reason that those trees in particular were removed. So we do have a number of trees that have been impacted by it. And I'm being told that within the next handful of years, almost all ash trees in, not Little Falls, this is a northeast problem. Ash trees throughout the entire northeast are probably going to be impacted by these beetles that are just killing the trees. Not to mention what the spotted lanternflies are going to do to a number of other species of trees that we've all seen growing over the past number of years. But they were ash trees that were impacted. They were removed by our DPW. We've been planting other trees in other areas, but the trees that were removed, I believe they were actually located on private property, but dangerous to residents in the park. And the reason why the DPW had removed them, but why we hadn't planted new trees in that area.
Thank you. Before you continue, would you like to yield to this gentleman? You're at the podium. The floor is yours, sir.
David Salvatore, if you look at the front of the park where you have the little roundabout that you put your little flags in, there are 4 trees. The 2 to the left are still there. The two to the right were taken down. They were all the same trees. There was no I'm not a treeologist or whatever it's called, but they looked identical to me and nothing was planted in its space. So, and I've noticed this since I do about 15,000 steps a day around this town, the trees in between the sidewalk and the curb are disappearing at a rapid rate and nothing's being planted in its space. There's one right here. I don't know if you have a story on that one at the end of your police parking lot that seemed to disappear in the middle of the night. So the less trees, the more the town looks like dreck. So I think it's a top priority, even though there seems to be a lot of top priorities.
Thank you.
Yeah, so I can also tell you that wherever a tree is removed, planting a new tree in its identical spot is almost impossible because the root systems where a tree is cut down, the root systems that exist where that tree is removed makes it almost impossible for a new tree to grow in that exact spot. Because I've asked about this, and if you look at the roots that exist right around where that tree was removed, it's not like it's soft earth around that area where the tree was removed. So it's very difficult to plant a new tree in the exact area where a tree was just removed without unearthing the entire ground around that particular area. Those were also ash trees in that area that were removed. And I actually have photos of those particular trees that you're referring to that were completely hollowed out in the middle due to those beetles having completely killed them. They may have looked healthy on the outside, but what these arborists do is they go around with these, they look like mallets, and they whack the stump of the tree or the trunk of the tree while it's up. And when they're hollow, they can tell that they're dead. And these trees in particular, they didn't even need to, because there were limbs that had previously been cut off, and you can see in and down into the particular trees themselves. And I actually have photos of them that show that they were completely dead and hollow on the inside. And again, in the parks with kids and people all the time, they are extremely dangerous and can come down at any point. So that's why those trees were removed and not replaced.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Greg Shark. Couple of points, a couple of questions. I'm concerned about the size of this. I know the mayor put up some representative examples there.
Are you referring to the restroom, sir?
Yes. And we are applying for a grant for the restrooms. And I think that hinges on the traffic that goes there, the parking and all that. So you must have some idea if you're going to give a designer, you must have some parameters you're going to give, whether it's going to be 2 stalls, 3 stalls, a footprint size or something. Because if we come back here 6 months from now, 3 months from now, and you have a design up there and it's 20 by 50 feet, I'm not saying it's that, but it's going to be kind of late, or it's going to be inefficient and perhaps expensive to have that. So I'd be more interested in seeing what the parameters are for the design, or at least the footprint. The other thing is, I assume there'll be the other thing is operation of this. Having seen the destruction that's gone on in the gazebo in the past, I would urge you to shut this thing down when the park shuts down at night, at dusk or whatever. I don't want to see this thing open at all hours of the night. One question I had, so this application is for a grant, and that grant, if we get it, it's only to be used for the facility, the bathroom facility, or if for some reason the facilities don't get approved, it could be allocated towards the playground restoration. So that's the one question I had. That's it.
Let's see if we can answer your question, sir. Let me ask you this. Are you for the bathrooms, or you're totally against the idea of the rest?
I'm definitely for the bathrooms. I don't use the porta potty. My grandkids, when they come over, we kind of stay away from them. I mean, they're clean, but porta potty.
God bless you.
You know, for the kids that go down to the park that I see down there with their parents, grandparents, yeah, I have no objection to go forward. subject to clarification of what this grant is to be used for.
So let's get some clarification. This grant, Mayor, if we don't do the bathrooms, can we still apply the grant to the rest of the park?
Sure, so I can certainly clarify. So Passaic County has been more than cooperative with not only Little Falls, every single municipality within the county. When you apply to them for a particular grant, and then at some point you decide not to proceed with that particular grant and wish to pivot to another opportunity that you may have, whether it be this park or another opportunity within your municipality, especially if it's something else that they've already approved and you want to apply that grant to it. They have been very cooperative in allowing you to pivot and utilize those funds towards something else. Now, I'm not saying that they will always permit that to be the case, but in the past, they have worked with municipalities, including Little Falls, to do that. They've done that with prior funds and allowed us to apply it towards the park improvement at Dua Field for the turf field project that we had there. And they did allow us to apply another grant to that particular project in the past. So it is possible. Again, it's not guaranteed, but it is something that's happened in the past.
As far as your question about the regulation of this restroom facility, if this was to move forward, we have concerts there with ABC in the summer. So therefore, the bathroom facilities would be, stay open until that program. We have other programs in the park throughout the year, the tree lighting, et cetera, Halloween. It would be regulated to those events and not be open all night. It would fall probably under the jurisdiction of the rec department / DPW to make sure, or a possible electronic lock that would happen automatically set to a time. We'll definitely have that monitored so that it's not being abused. As far as the size, I'm sorry, is there something funny? I'm sorry, we have one meeting here, please. Okay. So as far as the size, Mayor, can you comment on the size?
Yeah, this is a bathroom that I don't believe we are looking to have be overly large here. Currently, we have gotten away with a bathroom that has been one porta potty, as you know, at this park. I don't think having more than 2 stalls is necessary here at this park. Again, whether they be, whether they be assigned, or to a particular use, or whether they be, just 2 separate stalls is, I guess, to be determined. But I don't know that having multiple stalls at this park is necessary when one porta potty has been enough in the past. So it's not something that we're looking to have. We're not looking to have 10 stalls here. It's not Giant Stadium.
No, no, I just saw what you put up on the screen, and that looked like 20 by 30, maybe. And I don't think we need that there. I think that the demand there for it is for the children that are in the park. Yes, there's every month or so there might be a special event going on in the summertime down there, and so the demand might be higher. But generally speaking, I mean, I would agree with you. Something around that size would be the best. Thank you.
Thank you for joining us this evening. Mr. Kusha, there's someone in the chat.
Yes. Hey there, Gene Rita.
Good evening.
You guys can hear me?
Yes.
Great. Just first off, I support the application for the grant and support the permanent bathroom. We live on Wilmore. We don't have kids, don't personally play on the playground, but it's definitely something that we love to have in the neighborhood. Brings people to the neighborhood. We're pretty proud to have the park across the street, so definitely support it. Couple of questions. First off, our big concern is with some of the vandalism and the littering. These things have been mentioned obviously a couple of times. Just, not looking for a specific prescriptive answer today, but want to note that we definitely would love to hear more in a future session here about any ideas to help increase accountability among those who are in that park. We see kids obviously of an age too old to be playing on the playground, hanging out there after school. It's great to see kids outside and everything else, but obviously there's some some bad behavior that goes on, and we've seen the destruction of the playground as a result. So would love to hear what ideas there are go along with this to protect the new property. That's number one, just a comment. Number two was wondering about any rough idea for the timing for the rest of the playground renovation. I know, Mr. Ray, you had mentioned that earlier at a high level, just wondering if there's any rough timeline for the next steps on the playground itself. I can pause there.
Mayor, the question, of course, is always concerning that if there's loitering going on or destruction of this new equipment, I guess gather you'd meet with the chief of police to discuss the operations. I know they regularly go there in the morning and throughout the days and at night, but I'm sure you'll have discussions because we don't want to see this new facility or old facility be ruined by people visiting the park and doing unjust damage. And then the second question was about timing, sir.
Yeah, really, and this is slightly off topic since we're talking about the grant for the bathroom, but was wondering about any rough estimate of next steps on timing for the rest of the playground project.
Sure. So Council President, yeah, so part of the intentions when the improvements are made to the entire park area is to add cameras, maybe several of them throughout the entire park area. Unfortunately, there has been some issues with, we'll call it vandalism, issues with damage to a couple of the slides in the past, some damage and destruction to some of the wooden structures in the park. Granted, some of the plastic on the slides was beginning to become more brittle. Some of the wood was become a little bit, softer in areas and becoming to rot a little bit. But still, I think you're right, some of the older kids were having a little bit more of an easier time damaging it and took the opportunity to do so. Again, unacceptable. And I think having a way to more easily hold them accountable is something that we can easily do by installing cameras throughout the park. That we do have easier ways to do that now with the wireless technologies that exist and installing several cameras that will be wired right back to, well, wirelessly monitored back at the dispatch at police headquarters is something that can happen. It's actually, we intend to do so. So that is certainly something that we intend to do as part of the park improvements. The other part, to answer your question, also as part of the overall park improvements, again, just because of the timing and the, I believe, 8-month delay once we finalize the actual structure that we intend to install in the park. I believe the springtime for next spring is a reasonable time frame to have that entire park kind of completed and up and running for a okay, I'm sorry. Is a reasonable time frame to have that park up and running. Fingers crossed, and assuming that there are not additional delays in supply chain issues and things of that sort.
Very good. And I did have one more question, but this could even be followed up offline. We had been just tracking the effort for that footbridge because we ourselves have to walk down through traffic and everything else when we try to take that the Greenway. I know that's more of a county thing, but if somebody could make available wherever that stands, whatever happened with that, would appreciate that.
Mayor, do you have an update? Because last the county didn't share nothing with us yet.
I do. Let me see where our last update was on that. I'm looking for my latest email from them. I received a letter from them, not sent directly to me, but it's from the county engineer. It was dated February 15th and had to do with the bids that they received. They finally received the bids, and it says that the project was funded by a regional TAP grant. They received 9 bids on the project. It indicated here, it looked like the county reviewed the bid package from one of the bidders and deemed them to be responsive, and that the county requested the review of another to determine if the documentation met the project requirements, which indicates to me that it had gone out to bid, that they received several bids back, which I believe and can only anticipate means that they are approaching the final steps of a contractor being ready to begin, moving and mobilizing towards having it installed. So I don't really know more specifics on what the actual timing on that would be other than that. But it has gone out to bid at this point.
No, that's great. Just good to hear that it's moving along. That's all for me. Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
Karen Chalice, just to follow up on that. So we got the certified level letter, which we appreciate, about the restroom. I don't recall receiving a certified letter about the footbridge project. So I don't know what's going on with that project. How does that work? Does the county not have to do that for us that live there?
Chuck, would you like to respond?
Depending on which grant they have, some grants require public input, some grants don't. But it's a county program, so we're waiting in anticipation, just like you are, about the grant.
So where can
About
we
the
look
bridge.
for more information about that project?
To the county, to the
As
county commission.
information comes to us, we will share with the county clerk. You could, as information comes to this township, it'll be shared with the town residents.
Shatumi. I'm in favor of the bathroom. I just have a quick question. Is the bathroom going to fall in the present footprint of the park that's there now? Or will it
Is it,
go outside of where the fencing area is?
well, that's all going to be changed, the fencing area, correct, Mayor? Like,
I believe that would be inside. the fence
It's
area?
inside the fencing area.
but are we keeping the fencing area where it is, or we make it where we're large? That
It's part of the existing park. It will sit on the same site as the park.
So it'll be inside that.
Yes.
Thank you.
if there's individuals that would like to speak, please come forward regarding the park, the application, if you're. Thank you.
Hi, Joe Basales.
Good evening.
Good evening. I think a lot of us feel that we don't have enough information yet to vote. Is that correct?
This is not the way this works, sir. You can say what you like to say, but this is not a polling
Right.
where people are
Okay.
going to raise your hands and you're going to ask that. If you have some questions or comments, you can
Okay.
direct it.
If you could poll them, that would be great.
I'm
Or
sorry?
Do you poll them at all? If they,
That's what we're doing this evening,
Okay.
sir. That's
Right.
why we're having
Yeah.
people come up and say their comments.
all right. So what do we think the bathroom would cost? Maybe 1 million, 2 million? Do we have an idea or not? Not really?
No, we didn't say that, sir.
About 200,000 to 300,000,
Oh, for the bathroom.
correct?
Okay. All right. That's
Right.
reasonable. All right.
Project was a different.
Oh, okay. So there's more being done to the park. That would cost a lot more than that. That's the idea.
Correct.
Okay. All right. Yeah. And the picture that was shown looked like a very large bathroom. Something smaller might be more beneficial. 2 to 3 stalls on each side is reasonable.
Are you for the bathroom, sir, against it?
If it's a reasonable size, yes.
Do you live near the park, sir?
I'm over on Center Ave, with not too far, but not right there.
Thank you.
Yep.
Any other comments, sir? Thank you.
Joseph Katurba, Third Ave.
Good evening.
Good evening. My only concern is that vandalism, excuse me, and perhaps maybe say from the winter months, it could be shut down. This way, the water doesn't freeze, so say maybe from January till April. There might be less of a chance of kids hanging out in there and causing destruction and, becoming a bane to our existence. But if you could make the structure smaller within reason, I'd say I'm for it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We understand, we hear the comments. It's a sad state of affairs when we have to not have a restroom because of the chance of someone vandalizing it or destroying it and ruining it for others. So I think in the design phase, every option available to make it safe for all residents that use it and also not cause issues like water being left running and et cetera. Should have to, which will be examined and looked at. Are there any other residents who would like to come forth?
Hi, my name is Al Kawadi. I'm a Little
Good
Falls resident.
Good evening.
I just want to say Wilmore Park it's essentially our village green. You know, there's so many events there, right? Councilman Vanchery does the Memorial Day concert. There's the concerts in the park. There's a menorah lighting. There's the tree lighting. There's the Halloween. There's everyday use by families. Little Falls is not a town that should have porta potties in the village green. So I personally want to go on record as saying that I think this is a great step in the right direction. It'll upgrade, the upgrades to the park were necessary. I mean, the mayor mentioned that the equipment that's there now was donated by Saturn. I don't know if people here realize Saturn went out of business in 2010. And they probably weren't donating a lot of equipment near there. So that equipment is far in need of an upgrade. And so the upgrades to the park, the inclusion of a restroom, a permanent structure, it's going to make that area so much nicer for anybody who was able to get a letter that was close enough. I personally was not, but I'm thrilled that our village green is going to be this much nicer because of the efforts that you're all putting forward. So thank you for that.
Mr. Kusha, is there anyone in the chat?
No, there is not, sir.
Sir, the floor is open.
Ken Hart, Wilmore Road. One concern that I do have that was just brought up was if this bathroom is inside that fence line and that fence line's not increasing at all, I think it's going to take a good chunk of the playground where the kids are actually playing away. So I don't know if there's ability to move it around or anything like that. I don't mean to beat a dead horse with the security aspect of it. Obviously, it's a big concern for when I'm seeing a lot of people here. But just a concern for me taking the playground equipment area, removing a 20 by 30 foot spot out of there.
Okay, thank you for that question. You could hold up, sir. You could stay here while we answer the question. So, Mr. Kusha, you said we were not increasing that fence line. If we're not increasing that fence line, the bathroom is going to go inside of the fence line. Is that correct?
That's correct.
All right. And do you have any idea what size that restroom would be square foot wise?
I do not, but it's the engineer's estimate that he made in accordance to come up with the grant amount.
Okay, so it's going to be inside that fence line, and so all the other equipment has to be configured around that. As far as your question about, again, we've heard the question and concerns from the residents about vandalism and being used at night. It would be a real shame if we went through this expense and we'd have to close this facility down because of that. We're hoping that's not good.
An answer. I just wanted to voice my concern.
Yeah, we're hoping that doesn't come to be with however we design it, along with having it cleaned regularly and having police come by. And
thank you.
You're welcome. Are there any other residents that would like to come up? Are there any residents on chat that would like to come up?
No.
Councilwoman Hablitz, do you have anything you would like to add?
I believe that the bathrooms were going to be in back of the fence where the porta potties are right now. Isn't that correct?
Yeah, within the park itself.
Within the park, but
Well, let's get clarification.
Wait, well, are you saying that the fence that goes around the
Correct.
playground?
Right.
I'm sorry, my mistake. It'll be next to the fence that currently exists, but I believe that the fence that we're talking about on the improvements will cover the entire park then.
So currently where you see the porta potties now,
So
okay.
the porta potty where it sits typically now
Right.
is within they have a black metal fence around the play area
Right.
where you can pretty much lock your kids in there to play.
Right.
So it's inside that area and there's a large tree there. I was just wondering if it was going to be on the outside of that or actually inside the play area of the like where the slides are.
It's going to be,
No, it's closer to Eagle Rescue, the way the
Okay, so
way
it'd be outside, but there'd be.
but it's right next to the play area.
Gotcha. Okay, thank you.
there was, yeah,
I'm sorry. So I just need you to repeat that.
that's okay.
Black fence that is around the playground presently.
The black fence that is currently around the playground is only around the playground.
The porta potties inside of that black fence.
No, It's,
Yes, it
it's
is.
in
Yeah.
yeah, currently the porta potty. The new building we're talking about would be just outside of that,
Would
but
be-
there'll be a fence in the park that will fence the park.
Footprint would be outside the fence presently standing.
Yes, it'll be outside the playground area.
That's different from what you had said.
I misunderstood your question.
Okay, so we're going further over
In the park.
towards the Eagle Rescue Squad.
That's
towards the Eagle
correct.
Rescue
Do
Squad,
you
yes.
know how much?
In
I believe the approximate size of the structure that we saw was something like 12 by 20. I don't think it was.
So then does the whole park move over in that direction? It's not gonna, it's gonna be straight from Wilmore Road to the bike path. It's not gonna go down and then out around the building. The new bathroom.
there's,
So the
No.
whole park is gonna shift.
there's no change to the bike path.
No,
I know. there's
no, the current
bike-
playground equipment and well, the new playground equipment.
Well, no, I'm not talking about the equipment. I'm just saying, if you're standing on Wilmore Road and now the bathroom is going to be over here. Okay, does the whole park move over here?
No.
Playground.
No,
Playground.
no, the playground stays essentially where the new playground equipment is installed where the current playground equipment essentially is.
Straight in around the bathroom. To the right path.
Is the footprint of the playground getting bigger?
Well, it is. because-
No, the footprint of the playground is staying about the same. And the bathroom would be installed just outside of the current playground footprint.
Have we addressed your concerns concerning the bathroom and the park? Is there anyone else who'd like to comment? Bring up any questions? Does the council have any comments? Councilwoman Patel? Any
No.
comments? Councilwoman Hablitz?
No.
Councilman Vanchery? Councilman Murphy?
Yeah, I think, I think I'm in favor of doing the porta potty. I think it would be not having the porta potty, having the permanent bathroom. I think it'd be a good addition over there. I think just what we're hearing from the audience is that, as long as it's a reasonable size and correct me if I'm wrong, Council President, once we get the renderings from the engineer, we could always make them smaller, however we feel, whatever the council feels, the mayor feels is correct. So, my feeling, as long as we can make that work within a reasonable size, I'm 100% for it.
No, that's correct. There's the restroom hasn't formally been designed. It's a conceptual idea. We've heard the public comment to not oversize it, to make it as efficient as possible. That would be the way we would attack this and go about it. Of course, it has to be handicap accessible and it has to be by statute. So it's not like a bathroom that you put in your own home. It comes with different regulations that we have as a township have to abide by. Seeing no one else come forth, have a motion. I'm sorry, sir. Absolutely. We're here all night until 11:45.
I don't want to keep you here all night. sir. So we will have an opportunity to look at the design. Will we be notified? Of
Yes, there'll be a public meeting that,
But we won't get certified letters like we did for this meeting.
no,
Okay, so we'd have to check, just keep
Right.
our eye on the website.
Yep.
Thank you.
yes. Anyone else would like to come forth? Anyone on chat, Mr. Crucio?
No, sir.
Okay, can I have a motion to close to the public?
So moved.
Moved by Councilman Murphy,
Second.
second by Councilwoman Hablitz. All those in favor of closing to the public, say so by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, say so by nay. Motion carries. At this point, we will have the mayor's budget.
Thank you, Council President. Bear with me as I begin to share my screen for the presentation of this year's budget.
Mayor, before you continue, does the council need to take a break? We're going to recess for about 5 minutes. Thank you, everyone, for your patience. We're back in session. Thank you. Okay, Mayor, you have the floor.
Thank you, Council President. This is the 2023 budget presentation. All right, and this is a summary of the 2023 current fund budget. And the current municipal appropriations are $23,195,290. That is the total general appropriations. The reserve for uncollected taxes is $600,000. Debt service is $2,564,545. Salaries total $8,459,980. Budget revenue is $8,139,524. And total amount to be raised by taxes is $15,055,765. The local municipal tax rate in 2023, the 2023 budget is $379,600 under the tax levy cap and under the appropriations cap by $155,040. The 2023 assessed value is $1,540,872,000, which is just down about $2 million from the 2022 assessed value, which was $1,542,914,400. That is a result of about $2 million worth of assessments coming off of our tax rolls here in Little Falls, as well as the municipal taxes projected in 2023 at 0.093. The 2022 municipal actual taxes were 0.091, and you'll see the impact on taxes in just the next few minutes. The local municipal tax rate, it is a change of 2.1 increase in tax points per $100 of assessed valuation over the 2022 tax rate. What does that mean? The 2023 average assessed value in the township is now $293,883. And the average municipal taxes are $300,000 on assessed value. In 2023, it's $2,790. In 2022, it's $2,730. It is a $60 increase in municipal taxes for the year, or $5 per month on the average home. The average tax increase over the last 7 years has been $55.45 per year, or $5 per month. Some budget highlights. In 2022, the fund balance was $3,748,573.40. In 2023, the fund balance anticipated is $2,278,000. In 2023, there's remaining $1,470,573.40. In 2022, the fund balance was $3,645,610. In 2022, the fund balance anticipated is $1,970,000. And in 2022, there was $1,675,610 remaining. Some other budget highlights include assessed valuations decreasing by, again, the $2,045,400. Library taxes are $651,432 in 2023. And the Teamsters bargaining unit contract for 2023 is currently being negotiated. Administrative salary increases are set to reflect a 2.75% base increase. Public employee retirement system costs reflect cost per employees of $9,212 for anyone that is the PERS retirement system. The township hired an assistant township administrator as part of the succession plan to meet the township's needs in anticipation of the retirement of the current township administrator in 2024, as was announced several months ago. The salaries for the police have been incorporated into the 2023 budget in accordance with the collective bargaining agreement at a 2.75% increase. And the police and fire pension costs reflect cost per officer of $42,553.70. We're going to continue with the vehicle acquisition program for police, continue with the purchase of 2 new police cars in 2023. We've done this each year by purchasing 2 police vehicles each and every year. so as to ensure that we remain consistent and never have a major impact to the budget. We've purchased 2 police vehicles each and every year since I have been elected mayor. This way that we never see a major influx or inflow to the budget's need and never have a major impact on the budget by purchasing 2 vehicles each and every year. Solid waste and recycling this year is up $365,000, a significant impact to the budget, and fuel costs are up $65,000. Insurance costs are up $268,800 over last year as a result of the more than 20% increase in insurance costs that the state has seen almost across the entire state here. PFRS pension costs increased $123,478, and PERS pension costs increased $2,607. In 2022, debt service costs are up from last year, $121,595. And capital budget addresses the needs of the township's infrastructure and equipment requirements. And when authorized by the council, this will continue to make infrastructure improvements needed in the township. And here are some budget highlights in a nutshell. In 2022, the township incurred $365,000 in unanticipated costs and had to pass an emergency appropriation due to the increased costs of gas prices and garbage tipping fees. These emergency appropriations must be raised and included and funded in the 2023 budget. Solid waste and recycling is also up $365,000 this year. Fuel costs are up $65,000. Insurance costs are up $123,478. Pension contributions are up $126,085. Just those 5 budget items alone, excluding all regular increases to salaries and all other increases that we see throughout our budget, total over $1 million at $1,044,563. As Little Falls residents may know, a tax point in Little Falls is approximately $154,000. And this year's budget is seeing a mere increase of 2.1 points. And I say that because, but for this year's emergency appropriation, there would have actually been a flat budget here in Little Falls in 2023. And had Little Falls not had to deal with the absolute skyrocketing gas prices that we saw in 2022, which resulted in the emergency appropriation of an additional and unanticipated $365,000 in gas, diesel, and tipping fees that we paid in 2022 that were not anticipated, we would have had an absolutely flat budget this year here in Little Falls with no tax increase. So this year, unfortunately, pursuant to the statutes, we have to fund the $365,000 emergency appropriation that we funded in 2022, which is almost exactly the 2.1 tax points that we need to fund in this year's, or that residents will see in this year's tax increase. And but for that, we would have had a flat budget here in Little Falls, even with this additional $600,000+ increase that we see in all of these other increased costs that we had to deal with and include in this year's budget. So I am pretty pleased to be presenting this year's budget to this council this year. We still have an extremely, as we have always had here, very tight budget here in Little Falls with absolutely no fat throughout. And again, unfortunately, with the exception of this emergency appropriation, we would have essentially had no tax increase here in Little Falls. So I am very pleased to be presenting this budget to this council here this evening. As far as the budget schedule, the budget will be officially introduced to this by this council on March 27th, 2023. There will be a public hearing and adoption by this council on April 24th, 2023. So that is this year's budget presentation to this council. There will be a far more detailed and in-depth analysis of the budget at an upcoming meeting. But that is this year's very brief analysis for this council this evening.
Thank you, Mayor. Does the council have any questions or comments at this time? I know you just received the budget this evening, but if you'd like to share your comments or questions, you're welcome to do so. Mayor, can you explain to the public what fund balance is?
Sure. So, well, Mr. Cuccia can give probably the more technical detail by definition of the fund balance as his role here as our business administrator and CFO. In actual technical definition, he may be best suited to explain the technical definitions of it here this evening. My definitions of it may not be as technical as his, and more so in the mathematical explanation of it. So, Mr. Cuccia, you may be able to give the more technical definition for the council.
Thank you, Mayor. So the fund balance in any municipality is similar to retained earnings in a regular corporation. It is the amount of money that we retain after our results of operations on an annual basis.
Thank you. See no questions and comments from the councils. We'll move forward. Have a motion to open the meeting to the public for general matters and agenda items. Moved by Councilman Vanchery. Second by Councilwoman Havelitz. All those in favor to open the public for general matters and agenda items, please do so by saying yay. Aye, I'm sorry. Anybody opposed? Nay. Motion carries. Mrs. Kraus? Mrs. Kraus, can you hear us?
She needs to be unmuted on this end, Council President, due to the earlier issues we had at the meeting.
Down.
Okay.
Can you go down? There you go.
Mrs. Kraus?
Okay, yes, can you hear me?
Yes. Can you please read the public comment?
Anyone wishing to address the Township Council may do so through the Council President. It is preferred if you give your name and address for the record. Comments are to be limited to 3 minutes. However, if appropriate, you may be granted additional time in the sole discretion of the Council President. Members of the public who have joined the meeting virtually and desire to provide comment shall raise their virtual hand in the Zoom application. The meeting moderator will cue the members of the public that wish to provide comment, and the Council President will recognize them in order. Members of the public who have joined the meeting by calling in must press *6 to mute and unmute themselves and *9 to raise their hand. Members of the public who have joined the meeting via the Zoom application must click the reactions icon and then the raise hand icon. Once the process is complete, we will return to the regular order of business.
Thank you. The floor is open. Anyone from the public would like to come up and have any comments? I'm sorry. Mr. Kusia, there is a Joe M.
Yes.
Can you allow Joe M in, please?
I am.
You stupid nigger, son of a bitch!
I don't think we should have Joe M.
Yeah.
I'm sorry about that. I apologize. Is there anyone in the council chambers that would like to come up? Seeing no one, can I have a motion to close?
So moved.
Moved by Councilwoman Patel,
Second.
second by Councilman Murphy. All those in favor of closing the public, do so by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, do so by saying nay. Motion carries. So Mayor, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9. Would you like to discuss those?
Yes, thank you, Council President. Let me get back to my other screen after having to deal with Joe M. All right.
Mr. Kuchar, hold on. You got a few people unmuted, so you may want to block them.
No, they're not.
They're not unmuted. They don't have mics.
They have no
Okay,
microphones.
Okay.
All right, the first this evening, Council President, is a resolution authorizing the tax appeal settlements on several properties. As is customary, but sometimes unfortunate, each year the municipality deals with properties, individuals, businesses filing tax appeals as a result of the tax bills that they receive. This year, the municipality had 7 tax appeals that we have received, and some of them were resolved successfully and withdrawn. Some of them were resolved with several years of their tax appeals being withdrawn, with settlements on several other years. And as a result, our tax council resolved all of these tax appeals with the property owners in a way that I believe is overall favorable to the municipality, despite the fact that there are some tax refunds being provided to a number of these property owners. The first resolution here is the municipality authorizing the settlements on these properties. Again, some of them being successful to the extent that there is no refund being provided, others providing partial refunds to the individual property owners or businesses that have filed the tax appeals. Are there any questions from the council on any of those?
Mayor, I don't know if you can answer this, but the landowners have the right to go back 5 years, or can they go, is that correct?
3 years when it's filed. However, once they file their tax appeal, while it is pending, the year that they filed back for the 3 years that they filed, it continues to pend. And if the litigation takes several years, that is why sometimes you will see more than 3 years on the settlement, because it may have been pending for several years. That's why you'll see that there.
And also these land owners here that did go for the appeal, they could no longer go for another appeal for a period of 3 years.
That's correct.
And I see that's gonna, I don't want to use the word cost to township, but I guess that's really the only word I could come up with, about $160,000. Is that correct?
That's correct. On these 7 separate properties, a number of these properties are in fact large properties here within the municipality. So it is fair to say these are not individual homeowners that filed tax appeals to the two that pay several $1,000s per year in taxes. These are properties that are all assessed at $4 million, $4.6 million, $1.9 million, $2.9 million, $4.7 million, over $2 million, almost $1 million, and $2.5 million. And I say that to be clear that the amount of taxes that these properties pay to the municipality are large figures themselves. So the tax appeals that are being refunded to them are also significant numbers. And I say that again to be clear that that's the reason that this number is substantial as well.
Mayor, would you like to talk about the Little Falls Township versus Montclair State University?
Yes, I'm pleased that we were able to reach a resolution with Montclair State University for the years 2017 through 2022, where the original assessment and the proposed settled assessment actually remains exactly the same. And pursuant to an agreement with Montclair State University, they are going to actually be paying an initial upfront payment of $61,500, as well as $24,000 a year we're calling it a community service contribution for a period of 20 years moving forward. So it is a substantial and a significant settlement that we have reached with Montclair State University. So I am very pleased with the resolution that we have reached with Montclair State University. As you know, Montclair State University and the municipality here have not had the best relationship when it comes to municipal taxes, particularly with the fact that they have acquired a number of properties over the years, which oftentimes have become tax exempt as a result of it being a state property in the state of New Jersey, acquiring those properties, and the local municipality not being able to tax the state of New Jersey. So this settlement with Montclair State University, in my opinion, was an extremely beneficial settlement, and I am very pleased with what our tax council was able to do as a result of this resolution with Montclair State University.
Thank you, Mayor. Yes, this is goes back, and it was quite challenging. Councilor Semero really did a wonderful job hanging in there and going up against Montclair State University, who had quite unlimited amount of funds to go up against our township, and this is a nice settlement to see. Number 2, Mayor.
Thank you, Council President. Yes, item number 2 this evening is a resolution authorizing the application to Passaic County Open Space and Farmland Preservation Trust Fund for improvements to Wilmore Road Park. And as we heard this evening from a majority of the residents that had attended in person and virtually, seems most are in favor of the application being submitted to Passaic County, with the understanding that some additional input may be necessary to determine the overall size of the structure and the exact location. But it seems that it is overall being looked at as a favorable application to be made to Passaic County Open Space.
Number 3, Mayor, auction of a township personal property.
Yes, item number 3 is the auction of township personal property. The township does have one item that is no longer usable to the municipality. It is a 2011 Ford F-250 4x4 pickup truck. It has become essentially inoperable and unusable to the municipality, and we are looking to put that piece of equipment up to auction. Somebody will have some use for some dollar amount for this piece of equipment. Unfortunately, it has become unusable to the municipality at this point.
Number 4, ordinance, chapter 71. amendment.
Yes, item number 4 is ordinance 1449, amending code chapter 71 bike rodeo fees. The bike rodeo, much like the 5K and a number of other fun activities that the council and municipality have put into play in the past year, requires that if we are going to have donors or contributions made by individuals, businesses, and the like, it requires that an ordinance be passed to accept donations from people. And this here is simply an ordinance that allows the municipality to accept gold, silver, and bronze donations in the amount of $500, $250, and $150. And this ordinance would permit the municipality to accept those donations with donors at those various sponsorship levels. And it would simply allow us to do so moving forward.
Mayor, on 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9, I know we've been having some difficulties with the screen this evening. Would you be able to show the council an aerial view of where these ordinances, where they take place? I don't think we need the one for number 5, but I mean, I think 6, 7, and 8, 9, 5, I think everyone knows what that's concerning.
I certainly could hear, Council President. All right, Council President, this is a Google Maps image or Google Earth image of the intersection of Main Street and Stevens Ave. And I will talk about items I'll talk about item number 5 first, even though it includes a portion of this. So item number 5, ordinance number 1450, parking prohibitions on municipal and Board of Education property. In reviewing our ordinances and in conjunction with conversations with our police chief, the police have indicated that having ordinances in place to allow them to enforce parking prohibitions in all of our public parking lots, as well as the Board of Education parking lots, is something that is extremely important. And now that the township has acquired the current PNC parking lot off of Stevens Ave and adjacent to Stanley Street, it was important that that lot, as well as the Morris Canal lot, as well as all of our public school parking lots, be included in an ordinance to allow them the enforcement authority to ensure that if a car is parked there, whether it be abandoned, whether it be parked illegally, whether there be some suspicious activity with the vehicle, that they have some enforcement authority to have that vehicle removed from the lots. And ordinance number 1450 would allow them to have that enforcement authority in those particular lots, now including the PNC lot, which the township has now recently acquired. So that is what item number 5 will now add and address. Are there any questions from the council with respect to item number 5?
6, Mayor.
All right, so Council President, I'm going to discuss items number 6, 7, 8, and 9, all in conjunction with one another as we look at this overhead shot here together. And I'm going to zoom in a little bit more and use my mouse on the screen as we talk about them. So the first item for discussion is this. As many people know, and as I've heard a number of complaints about, and something that I've discussed now for probably 4 or 5 years here in Little Falls, maybe 6 years here in Little Falls, the area between Stevens Ave and Center Ave here in Little Falls is extremely narrow, particularly as you get closer to Stevens Ave. And that is this particular area here where my mouse is on the screen. And as part of the streetscape project that we have going down Main Street, where most residents have seen the ongoing construction, part of what is anticipated and part of what all of our businesses and building owners were advised of during a public meeting that we held a number of months ago, is the sidewalk in the area between these two particular streets on the northern side of the street, which is here where the mouse is, on the side where Venus Creations and Chubsy Wubsy are, is being widened. It's currently a particular area in Main Street where our sidewalk in some spots is only about 4 feet wide. And as part of the beautification of the downtown, widening the sidewalks, making it more pedestrian friendly is something that we are looking to do. We're adding streetlights throughout the downtown with the decorative streetlights and street poles. We're adding planters, we're adding garbage cans, and all of those things. And as part of the widening of the roadway in this area, of course, as most people are aware, again, indicating that the roadway was previously narrow, and the county having previously asked that the parking on one side of this roadway be removed. With the sidewalk now being widened, it is now essentially mathematically impossible that vehicles be parked on both sides of the street. So what one of these ordinances is doing is on the south side of this street, it is eliminating the parking along what is the Valley Bank side of the roadway here on Main Street. And part of what I had always promised was that until the municipality had acquired the PNC lot that has provided ample downtown parking, was waiting until then to eliminate these parking spaces. And now that the municipality has acquired this lot, we can now comfortably remove these couple spaces that are on the south side here of Main Street to, again, allow adequate downtown parking, to allow us to widen this sidewalk here, to allow it to be a safe area for pedestrians, and to allow the roadway to now be safe. So one of the ordinances is to eliminate the parking on the south side of Main Street. It is one of the other ordinances is to also place a handicap parking space in what is the most eastern spot of the north parking spaces on Main Street between Stevens and Center Ave, where the mouse is here. This will allow residents who need either wheelchair access or have handicap placards or license plates, the ability to park closer to our crosswalk and our curb cutout and access our stores from this particular area. One of the other ordinances will actually allow for a loading zone in what is the most western parking space in this area here, which is now where our actual handicap parking space is, furthest away from most of our downtown businesses and where there's no curb cut currently. And what that will do is it will allow for either Amazon trucks, UPS trucks, FedEx trucks, or anyone making deliveries to our downtown to park. It will be a little bit more of a walk for them to get to the businesses, but it will allow them to get out of what is usually the intersection where they currently park their trucks right now. This will provide for a safer area for our buses to make their turns from Stevens Ave to Main Street instead of them blocking and jamming up the entire intersection in our downtown area. The other ordinance will also eliminate, which was one of the comments that we received at the town hall recently, the 2 parking spaces on the eastern side of Stevens Ave that are adjacent to the current PNC parking lot, which now causes traffic backups on Stevens Ave. So the removal of those 2 spaces on Stevens Ave, now that this is all a public parking lot, is also contemplated in these ordinances. So there is a lot happening between these 4 ordinances, but in short, it is the removal of the parking space, the 2 parking spaces on Stevens Ave, the removal of the southern parking spaces on Main Street between Stevens and Center Ave, is the addition of a handicap parking space on the northern side of Main Street, most east over here. It is the addition of a loading zone most west on the northern side of Main Street over here. That is all of what would be happening between these 4 ordinances. And that is what we are looking to do as proposed. Are there any questions from the council?
Any questions? Councilman Ventura?
Yeah, I was gonna say, Mayor, do you want to also explain what happens to the double yellow line?
Yes, great question. So I should also go on to say that one of the biggest concerns I've received from our fire department, our police department, is that in this area, especially when they're responding to emergencies, when there are vehicles parked on both sides, even now with the road as, I'll say as wide as it is, as narrow as it is, it's almost impossible, well, it is impossible to get through when there are vehicles parked on both sides. Oftentimes, we now already see on the northern side of the street, vehicles with two of their wheels parked up on the curb now, that's already narrow. And we end up seeing police cars and fire trucks having an almost impossible time getting through this intersection. As a result of what we're going to be doing in eliminating these southern spots is actually moving the double yellow line further south, which will make the turns for buses even easier because vehicles will be pushed a little bit further to the south. One of the other things we're looking to do is moving this stop bar, which is currently all the way back here before where the curb cut was for the gas station, is as part of the streetscape, bringing this entire depressed curb up to a regular curb and moving the stop bar up as far as reasonably safe to allow buses to make their turn so that additional vehicles can make their way through the light each time it cycles. So this double yellow line will be moved a little bit further south, closer to Stevens Ave as part of this entire process, so that it is a little bit wider, and each of the travel lanes will actually be made a little bit wider as a result of all of this. To be clear, the curb is only going to be made about 2 feet wider in areas. I should say the sidewalk is going to be made about 2 feet wider in some areas. So we are going to be gaining several feet of roadway width throughout the entire downtown there, which is now a real choke point for vehicles. So that is part of what is intended to occur in that particular area.
Councilman Ventura.
And Mayor, you can also talk about the bus stop that's right in front of Valley, how that's not impacted.
Right. Yes, the bus stop in front of Valley is going to remain where it is. As you can see, that is actually currently a spot right now that the roadway is actually particularly wide here between the bus stop and the double yellow. It's really the portion as you approach closer to Stevens Ave, where the double yellow will be shifted the most. And as you get closer to center, it will begin to shift back to its normal place there. So that is why it will only be minimally impacted as you get back towards center. The most dramatic impact in the curb is actually closer to at Center Ave, it will be back at the current curb line. And at Stevens Ave, it will be back at the current curb line, and sort of in the middle is where it will jut out the most, or I should say closer to Stevens Ave, kind of where my mouse is here is where it will jut out the most, where the curb is the most narrow. I'm sorry, where the sidewalk is the most narrow.
So in doing this, Mayor, we accomplish the flow of traffic that would be much more sufficiently better. And also for emergency vehicles, I gather, at certain times during the day when it gets a little bit heavy of traffic there, for our emergency apparatuses to flow through that area on a easier basis. I guess on any given day, there's a numerous side mirrors, is it, on our cars that are taken off in that area because it's quite tight the way it is configured now.
Yeah, this is a location where unfortunately our police department is very frequently taking reports of mirrors being lost. And both our police and fire departments have supported the elimination of the parking spaces on one side of the street here. Based on the number of parking spaces that we can fit, the south side of the street was the side that was chosen because there were far less parking spaces there compared to the north side.
Are there any questions or comments from the council regarding these resolutions and ordinances?
Yeah, just a quick comment on that.
Councilman Murphy?
Thank you. Yeah, as somebody who's had their own mirror taken off as I was walked down that area, and as somebody who has responded in a fire truck probably hundreds of times going through that intersection, it is an absolute nightmare getting through there with a fire truck. If a bus is there, if a larger vehicle is there, if there's a red light, vehicles just don't know what to do because they can't pull off to the side. And so it's an absolute hazard getting through there, especially if it's a time where there's a lot of vehicles on the road. It's never an easy decision, removing parking spaces However, in this circumstance, I do feel that it is warranted, especially with the flow of traffic. I know that there was some, studies done that would improve the flow of traffic in that area, because of the emergency vehicles, and because we're going to be winding that street even more, which makes it even more hazardous. I think it is appropriate in this situation.
Thank you. Are there any other questions or comments from council? Councilwoman Havelitz?
With regards to the loading parking space, it is a commercial loading parking space and not just a 15-minute park.
That's correct. It's commercial loading parking space. It is actually the size of the parking space, and I'm going to stop sharing my screen so that I can look at the particular ordinance. The size of the parking space is actually larger than a regular vehicle. It is actually intended to be a bit larger than, again, a regular vehicle. So it will be a 16, I'm sorry. Yes, it's a larger than regular parking space that is intended to fit a box truck such as an Amazon truck, a UPS truck, a FedEx truck. So it is intended to fit a commercial vehicle, not just a car. And it will be marked appropriately for that. So that if anybody else parks there that is not loading or unloading, that they can be, that they will be in violation of this ordinance.
Thank you.
I think maybe in the future, we may have to revisit this if the current businesses there need a place themselves at times to often offload maybe goods that they're, bringing to their establishments. But maybe we'll see how we proceed forward. If the businesses reach out to the council and the mayor, that's an issue for them, that parking unloading spot may in the future be able to accommodate the local businesses as well, the owners of those businesses. Okay, see no other questions or comments? Can I have a motion to approve resolutions A through D? So moved by Councilman Vanchery, second by Councilwoman Havelitz. Mrs. Kraus, call the roll for resolutions A through D, please.
Councilmember Patel,
Yes.
Councilmember Murphy,
Yes.
Councilmember Havelitz,
Yes.
Councilmember Vanchery,
Yes.
Council President Scoba.
Yes, can I have a motion to approve the raffle Banyan Upper School raffle.
So move.
Moved by Councilman Murphy, second by Councilman Vanchery. Mrs. Kraus, please call the roll.
Councilmember Patel,
Yes.
Councilmember Murphy,
Yes.
Councilmember Havelitz,
Yes.
Councilmember Vanchery,
Yes.
Council President Scoba.
Yes, at this time, Mrs. Kraus, please read ordinance 1449.
Second reading and public hearing of ordinance number 1449, an ordinance entitled, an ordinance of the Township Council of the Township of Little Falls in the County of Passaic, State of New Jersey, amending the Township Code, Chapter 71, fees.
The public hearing on ordinance 1449 is now open. Does anyone wish to speak on ordinance 1449? Mr. Kusia, no one in the chat, no one in our audience?
No, sir.
Seeing no one else come forward to speak on the public hearing on ordinance 1449, it is now closed. Can I have a motion to adopt 1449?
So moved.
Moved by Councilman Vanchery.
Second.
Second by Councilman Murphy. This is a roll call on 1449, please.
Councilmember Patel,
Yes.
Councilmember Murphy,
Yes.
Councilmember Havelitz,
Yes.
Councilmember Vanchery,
Yes.
Council President Scoba.
Yes, Mrs. Kraus, please read ordinance 1450.
Introduction of ordinance number 1450, an ordinance entitled, Ordinance of the Township of Little Falls, County of Passaic, State of New Jersey, further amending the Township of Little Falls Code, Chapter 7, Article 2, Section 7-40, parking prohibitions on municipal and Board of Education property, with a second reading and public hearing scheduled for April 17th, 2023.
Thank you. Can I have a motion to introduce ordinance 1450?
So moved.
Moved by Councilman Vanchery, second by Councilwoman Havelitz. Mrs. Kraus, please call the roll on 1450.
Councilmember Patel,
Yes.
Councilmember Murphy,
Yes.
Councilmember Havelitz,
Yes.
Councilmember Vanchery,
Yes.
Council President Scoba.
Yes, Mrs. Kraus, please read the ordinance 1451.
Introduction of ordinance number 1451, an ordinance entitled, Ordinance of the Township Council of the Township of Little Falls in the County of Passaic, State of New Jersey, further amending the Township of Little Falls Code, Chapter 7, Article 2, Section 7-11, parking time limited on certain streets, with a second reading and public hearing scheduled for April 17th, 2023.
Have a motion to introduce 1441. 1451.
So moved.
Moved by Councilwoman Patel,
Second.
second by Councilman Vanchery. Call the roll, please.
Councilmember Patel,
Yes.
Councilmember Murphy,
Yes.
Councilmember Havelitz,
Yes.
Councilmember Vanchery,
Yes.
Council President Scoba.
Yes, Mrs. Kraus, please read ordinance 1452.
Introduction of ordinance number 1452, an ordinance entitled Ordinance of the Township Council of the Township of Little Falls in the County of Passaic, State of New Jersey, further amending the Township of Little Falls Code, Chapter 7, Article 1, Section 7-13, parking prohibited at all times on certain streets, with a second reading and public hearing scheduled for April 17th, 2023.
Have a motion to introduce 1452.
So moved.
Moved by Councilwoman Patel,
Second.
second by Councilwoman Havelitz. Mrs. Kraus, call the roll to introduce 1452.
Councilmember Patel,
Yes.
Councilmember Murphy,
Yes.
Councilmember Havelitz,
Yes.
Councilmember Vanchery,
Yes.
Council President Scoba.
Yes, Mrs. Kraus, please read ordinance 1453.
Introduction of ordinance number 1453, an ordinance entitled Ordinance of the Township Council of the Township of Little Falls in the County of Passaic, State of New Jersey, further amending the Township of Little Falls Code, Chapter 7, Article 1, Section 7-29, handicap parking, with a second reading and public hearing scheduled for April 17th, 2023.
Have a motion to introduce 1453. Moved by Councilman Vanchery,
Second.
second by Councilwoman Havelitz. Mrs. Kraus, please call the roll on 1453.
Councilmember Patel,
Yes.
Councilmember Murphy,
Yes.
Councilmember Havelitz,
Yes.
Councilmember Vanchery,
Yes.
Council President Scoba.
Yes, Mrs. Kraus, please read the ordinance on 1454.
Introduction of ordinance number 1454, an ordinance entitled Ordinance of the Township Council of the Township of Little Falls in the County of Passaic, State of New Jersey, further amending the Township of Little Falls Code, Chapter 7, Article 1, Section 7-24, loading zone, with a second reading and public hearing scheduled for April 17th, 2023.
Have a motion to introduce 1454.
So moved.
Moved by Councilman Murphy, second by Councilman Vanchery. Mrs. Kraus, call the roll on 1454.
Councilmember Patel,
Yes.
Councilmember Murphy,
Yes.
Councilmember Havelitz,
Yes.
Councilmember Vanchery,
Yes.
Council President Scoba.
Yes, Councilman Murphy, your report.
Thank you, Council President. Just two quick things tonight. We did have our Domestic Violence Prevention Committee meeting last week. We have some really awesome things we're going to be pushing out this year in 2023. Starting with our website, we'll be getting some updates on there. We're going to be posting some new information as well as a statistic of the month. So definitely keep an eye out for that and check out the website. Social media, something that we've been looking to get up and running. So hopefully next month or two, we'll have that up and going. And once that's out, I'll be able to push those links out and hyperlinks to everybody. We're also going to be doing a banner at the Little Falls Rec Center, as well as looking to get some dates for some guest speakers coming in. And then as well as something new that we're doing this year, some fundraising. So the committee's going to be getting together. We're going to be coming up with some ideas for fundraisers and some dates. So we're going to be meeting next month, hopefully ironing out some of those details. So once we have some of those dates, we'll definitely let the council and the township know this we can get together and hopefully have a good turnout for those events. On another note, this Thursday, myself, Council President, and Councilwoman Havelitz will be meeting with our Assistant Business Administrator. We'll be talking about our township calendar, which is something I think we're all looking forward to getting out to our residents and businesses for next year. So now's the time we have to start it so we can get it out in January and early in the year for 2024. Other than that, just want to wish everybody a happy and safe St. Patrick's Day. That's all I have, Council President. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman Murphy. Councilwoman Patel.
Thank you, Council President. On February 23rd, 2023, the Board of Health had their first event at the Little Falls Public Library. We have another one coming up in March, on March 23rd. It's from 5 to 7, again at the Little Falls Public Library. And I do encourage everyone to attend. A few other events that they are holding, these are going to be at the Clifton Health Department, which Little Falls residents are obviously invited. There's a free hearing screening taking place on March 31st between 2 and 4. There's bone density screening taking place on Wednesday, March 29th, 2023, between 11 and 1 p.m. I know that the Board of Health did speak to school number 1 in Little Falls and have coordinated programs dealing with vaping prevention, which ties in nicely with National Health Month.
And those are scheduled for March 16th and March 17th. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilwoman Patel. Councilwoman Hablitz?
Thank you, Council President. I'd first like to thank the mayor for acknowledging this proclamation tonight of National Women's History Month. It was not even what was about 100 years ago that women weren't even able to vote. And now I am so proud to say that I am able to serve on this council along with Councilwoman Patel. So thank you for that proclamation. We are trying to organize some of our local individuals that we'd like to recognize that have done great things for our community for our next meeting. So hopefully we will have that for our next meeting. Thank you on that. Some library updates. I attended the library's Dr. Seuss birthday celebration that was on March 4th. It was a great event. It was well attended. It was a very nice little magic show, and there must have been probably 100 kids there. They were having a grand old time. So thank you to Miss Linda, the library staff, and the library board president, Ann Kwadi, for getting that together. Some upcoming library events. This Wednesday, there's a St. Patrick's Day story time and craft at 6:30. On March 20th at 6:30 p.m., there will be a Ramadan story time and craft. So those are some great events that you do not need to register for. You can just go to the library and enjoy. On March 22nd, there is a registration required for their adult team trivia. Refreshments will be served. You can register on the library website, and that will be at 7 p.m. They're taking teams of 2 or 3 people. So that sounds like a fun night for adults. And then on the Friends of the Library side, they will host an open house for new members on March the 21st at 7 p.m. Refreshments will be served. So they're looking for new members and to find out about the Friends of the Library. So all are invited to attend. Lastly, just wanted to talk about the farmers market. The farmers market is just about 2 months away. We have over 20 returning vendors. But we're still taking applications. And if you would like to fill out an application, if you are an artisan vendor, you can send that application to LF Farmers Market at lfnj.com. That's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilwoman Hablitz. Councilman Vanchery?
Thanks, Council President. All right, so last week I had a chance to hold our latest monthly Transportation Committee meeting, and we were joined by Commissioner John Bartlett. You know, I asked Commissioner Bartlett to come in because he serves on the board for the NJDOT, just so that he could talk a little bit about the Route 3, Route 46 construction project that I know we all love and cannot wait for it to be over. Well, the good news is from Commissioner Bartlett that the project should be completed by this November. Now, there may be some lingering items, but the roads will be open in November. And, you know, through the conversations with Commissioner Bartlett, he was able to bring in some visuals as well that are right now in the police station with Chief Prawl. But, you know, one thing to consider is, you know, at a future meeting, you know, Commissioner Bartlett said he's more than willing to come in here and provide an update and answer any questions as it relates to the Route 3 and Route 46 project. He even gave us a little tutorial about roundabouts, you know, just a little bit about that. So it was nice for him to come together and just talk about what's going on. But, you know, hopefully in the next 8 months, that project will finally be completed and we'll feel like, all right, things will be a little normal, especially on Route 46. And some of the suggestions that came too from committee members was some signage, making sure it's properly updated on 46, especially with some of the exits right now with Lower Notch, Broward Town, how, you know, reminders to kind of slow down like they are if you go further up on McBride Ave, you know, 15, 20 miles per hour. So he was going to look into that as well. So just appreciate him taking the time. And like I said, if this is something that the council and the mayor, you know, is willing to have Commissioner Bartlett, he's more than welcome to, you know, come in. A couple other reminders, Saturday, April 1st at 10 a.m. outside over here, we are going to have the Autism Awareness Month flag raising to recognize the month of April. We'll also make sure that the lights are blue that night. I'm working on the program there. I'm pleased to mention that Pam Donovan from Ethan and the Beans also going to join us to say a few words. You know, Ethan, who is the reason for her business, is also an autistic student. So she was going to be a part of this ceremony. I'm also going to probably have another resident who has Autism Awareness Month apparel that she's going to probably bring as well for sale. So I'm just working through those details. Also too, next week is the start of Ramadan, and I'm actually going to meet with one of the residents next Tuesday to go over some of the lighting that we'll set up at Town Hall over here, along with our our electrician that kind of set that up. So we're going to meet just to make sure we have the right colors to recognize Ramadan. We'll have the lights up for a period of time, because obviously it runs from March 22nd through April 20th, but we'll have to switch some days, of course, for autism, some other activities. Just a couple other things, just want to recognize too, thanks for having the 3 teams come in. It's always nice to see the kids here being recognized for all the sports. We did this last meeting, we had 3 tonight. We'll probably have some more coming up later this month, but it's always nice to see the kids getting reward for this and their parents coming to enjoy it. And they get to see sort of how we operate here as well. And then, this past Friday as well, myself, Mayor Damiano, we were at a girl show along with Tyler Pissarro from the rec department. It was nice to see. Obviously, white won, green didn't win, but it was definitely a great time by everyone, because the girls really, put a lot of time and effort for the last 4 or 5 months practicing to see it all come together. It was really a nice night to see all the 3 towns come together. That is, just want to make sure I'm missing it. Oh, one other thing too that I have is, just working on the stuff for Memorial Day weekend, just pulling together. I have 3 bands locked in, working on some food trucks as well as some other vendors, just pulling together right now the flyers that we're going to be able to start to post, so that if there are any local organizations or businesses that want to be a part of this event Memorial Day weekend, they're more than welcome to. So that's it for me, Council President.
Thank you, Councilman Vanchery. So yes, this Friday, March 17th is St. Patty's Day, and the Senior Advisors is having a St. Patrick's Day dance, corned beef and cabbage. We're going to be getting from ShopRite. Happy to announce we have over 90 people in attendance coming to this event. The council members and mayor, if you can stop by from 12 to 2, I'd appreciate it. Kind of help out and hand out the corned beef and cabbage. We have a surprise Irish dancers. The Fowley sisters are going to be coming and doing some Irish dance, which we're really excited about. And then on the 31st, we have Jack Zuckerman and Dr. Desperis, a foot doctor, talking about ankles and feet. It's a workshop that will take place on March 31st from 12 to 2. If you'd like to attend those events, please reach out. This Wednesday will be a cutoff for the St. Patrick's Day event. Have a motion to open the meeting to the public for agenda items, yes.
So moved.
So moved by Councilwoman Patel, seconded by Councilwoman Habertz. There's a voice vote. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed signify by saying nay. Motion carries. Mrs. Kraus?
Anyone wishing to address the Township Council may do so through the Council President. It is preferred if you give your name and address for the record. Comments are to be limited to 3 minutes. However, if appropriate, you may be granted additional time in the sole discretion of the Council President. Members of the public who have joined the meeting virtually and desire to provide comment shall raise their virtual hand in the Zoom application. The meeting moderator will cue the members of the public that wish to provide comment, and the Council President will recognize them in order. Members of the public who have joined the meeting by calling in must press *6 to mute and unmute themselves and *9 to raise their hand. Members of the public who have joined the meeting via the Zoom application must click the reactions icon and then the raise hand icon. Once the process is complete, we will return to the regular order of business.
Thank you. The floor is open. Would anyone like to come up? Anyone? I see Mr. Crocken is in the chat. Mr. Kusho, can you let him in, please?
Yes, I am. Mr. Karatkin.
Mr. Crocken, can you hear us?
Hey, is that better?
Yes, thank you. Good evening.
Good evening. I want to comment on the tax appeal resolution. I think it was good news to hear the outcome of the MSU tax appeal. The last time I remember receiving any compensation from MSU for purchased property was when they obtained the Ward Trucking parking lot area. And I have a question as to whether there are any other tax assessments pending with MSU that are currently under appeal.
You have a good memory, Mr. Crocken. That is correct. That was like the last time. And we're very happy with this.
Yes.
Personally, I wish we could pursue every entity on that property. Doesn't have Montclair State in front of it. But I don't know of any others, Mayor. Are we pursuing any other establishments that are profit making?
We have attempted to do so. Unfortunately, we were largely unsuccessful in doing so. It was my belief that there were many for-profit entities operating within what I would call the borders and confines of Montclair State University as a campus that I believe would be taxable just because they were within the borders of what was a college campus. Operating as a profitable entity didn't necessarily give them tax exempt status. Unfortunately, apparently the tax state, the state of New Jersey doesn't necessarily agree with me. No, we were not successful in securing any additional payments from Montclair State University. You are correct. Ward Trucking was the last major win that we had from them in a pilot. We did receive some additional payments from them in the form of a pilot from Floyd Hall Arena for a period of time. That has ended a number of years ago now as well. So we're no longer receiving those. But yes, you are correct. This is good news. Again, this is a 20-year payment. It's not, look, more would have always been better, but this was certainly one that I would put in the win column for the Township of Little Falls, because I know Montclair State University and the state of New Jersey would have, preferred this number to be 0.
Right. I thank you, and I appreciate your efforts on behalf of the township regarding that matter. The other thing, I just want to express my appreciation for your adding an additional parking spot on the south side of Main Street. And I just want to say I appreciate your sensitivity to people with disabilities who need access to the downtown area. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Crockett, for your comments. See no one else come forward, have a motion to close the meeting. Moved by Councilman Vanchery, second by Councilman Hablitz. All those in favor of adjourning this meeting, do so by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, do so by saying nay. This meeting is now closed.